fiscal cliff is the last bastion standing between us and oblivion. The source of that is Big Government Weekly. It's a magazine from the year 2013, first month, January, it's 27th. The fiscal cliff is a buzzword. Media used it quite a few times this past couple months, in the past 6 months. By a show of hands, anybody here of the fiscal cliff at all? I mean, I have. I've heard about it every day, but until recently, I didn't really look to see what it was about. But this is a preview of my main points of my body that's coming up. I'm going to talk about what the fiscal cliff is and what it actually entails. Most people don't know what that is. The current fiscal cliff situation, what might happen in the future regarding the fiscal cliff, and then my own thoughts on the fiscal cliff. First up, what the fiscal cliff actually is. On midnight, December 31st, 2012, was the end of the payroll tax, business tax cut, and the Bush tax cuts, and the beginning of taxes for Obama's health care law. At that point is when taxes for everybody in America would go up by a considerable margin from at what point it was before. The current fiscal cliff situation is that 3 hours before the Senate, 3 hours before the deadline, the Senate passed the resolution on extending some of the tax cuts and some of the other actual stipulations of the fiscal cliff. And then 21 hours before the House of Representatives actually passed a resolution. Technically, we were over the cliff, but the way government works is after they can set the date to retroactively start the 1st of January, because government's powerful, I guess. The deal included an increase in taxes by 2% from what point it was before. But the 2% raise was only for people making combined incomes of over $113,700. And then there was also a reversal of the Bush tax cuts from 35 to 39.5% for over 400,000. All these sources so far from Thomas Kenny. These are all the figures and facts were from him. What might happen in the future regarding the fiscal cliff, according to Thomas Kenny, is if it became law, it would reduce the deficit by $560 billion, but it would lower the GDP, or gross domestic product, by 4%, sending the economy into another recession, which at this point in time we really cannot have that happen. Unemployment would be raised by 1%, which doesn't seem like that much, but considering how much population there is in the United States, that 1% would be effectively a cost of 2 million jobs in total would be lost due to the signing of this law. My own thoughts on the fiscal cliff are that they had 507 days to work, and they waited until literally the last minute to sign something, just purely based on politics, the Democrats and the Republicans. I mean, it wasn't anything other than that. It was an unneeded, self-inflicted wound on the United States. They could have passed something, even like a Band-Aid or something, to cover it way before, so we wouldn't have any ill effects from it. It was a lot of hype, and the media blew it way out of proportion. And the fiscal cliff, like the actual cliff portion of it, is misleading, since Congress could schedule the law retroactively to January 1st. The media was making a big deal about that, but in fact, once it was passed, they could just switch the date to wherever it needed to be. It wasn't as big of a deal as people were making it out to be. The media just wanted to blow it out of proportion to get more viewers. And then, once again, my main points were the fiscal cliff, of it being an end of the payroll tax, business tax cuts, and the Bush tax cuts. The current fiscal cliff situation of 3 hours before the Senate resolution and then 20 hours before for the House of Representatives. what might happen if it actually becomes a law of the loss of 2 million jobs and the reduction of the deficit by $560 billion. And then that's pretty much it.